not the first TTRPG vinyl album adventure that I own. So
Okay,
Is it
so the stream should be popping up in YouTube for you guys to
cute?
start watching any second now.
okay, I'm looking for it.
Yep. It's up. I'm
Yeah.
watching. And I've muted it so I don't hear myself.
Look how now you get to see how messy my painting area is. What is that?
Look at me. I can use these cool emotes because I paid for the privilege.
Oh,
And I
wonderful.
have suppression by my name.
Has anyone done that subscription thing or whatever it's called except for you?
I'm our only member. The longer once I've been a member for long enough, the suppression by my name will change to a different symbol. Like the image by your name says how long you've been a member.
If more people join, will that like slow you down?
No.
Like it takes out half of the supply of.
Yeah. If the more people we have, the more emoji slots we can have.
Oh.
And I think if we stream more, there might be more incentive for people to want to. What is that? The rest of Mara Jade's hair next to her?
No, this is a Jean Grey.
Oh, from top down, it's just a red mess of hair. So I figured it was like
some
her
stuff.
Her hair extensions.
Get out of here.
That's a good idea. That should be like a force power, like force
hair.
I'm gonna post this on the couple places, see if people want to join.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, now let's see. What the fuck was I even doing? Oh, his like the black on his comma was like the last thing I left off on.
Are you trying to paint him pretty standard?
Yeah. Like, see, like he is mostly done. I just want to add some highlights onto
some of those folds.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell from this distance, but have you been doing much weathering on him, or are you keeping him pretty clean?
I am gonna add some like right now he is, but when I'm done, I'm gonna add like some black, like kind of like pock marks and stuff.
Do you think he'll be able to? One thing I didn't bother with was the like tally marks on his gauntlet and his helmet.
Oh yeah.
Brave enough? Are you a brave enough dude?
I might try. Let's see. That's kind of blurry, isn't it? Because it's like focusing down here.
Just a little, yeah.
You almost need like a. I mean, if you put your hand behind it, that usually sorts the focus out.
Maybe it's not good at. Oh, there it goes. Whoop.
Oh.
It was for a second. I mean, we're seeing it's slightly delayed, anyways, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's catching the tools in the background or something. It's like focusing on your palette. Yeah, it's just like not auto-focusing that close or something.
Yeah, maybe try zoom out again.
I like how it's like this. You can see just how much the Citadel handle is like straining to hold the.
Yeah, it's completely like bent like a longbow.
Yeah, it's annoying. Like just 1 more millimeter would be fine. When I was painting last night with John, it kept his Luminara kept popping out.
Yeah, I literally can't get mine to fit. I tried to, and I'm like, some less than a millimeter away from being able to get it to fit, but I couldn't get it to.
Mine must have just loosened up or something. It still is strained and looks like that, but it
does fit at least.
It fits fine, and I haven't had any issues anymore. So, you just gotta loosen it up. You gotta jam it in enough times where it gets a little loose.
The other sad thing is, I also tried to fit them into my Games Workshop vehicle-sized paint handle, which is for like dreadnoughts, and that's too big.
Yeah, it's so like 40 millimeters is not an uncommon base size. Like, why does their range of handles not support it? Do they have an intermediary sized handle we are missing?
I think the newer ones do fit.
Oh, it's like Apple where you've got to like upgrade to the newest product.
Yeah, and then they'll change the base sizes again. No. I don't know. The newer ones though are like really skinny though. I feel like I like a thicker one better, honestly.
Yeah.
So lately I've been using, a pill bottle like a lot of people do, and that's like a little skinnier than the painting handle, but it's a pretty okay size, but I wouldn't want super skinny. Like some of them are like tiny sticks, and I wouldn't like that.
So
Yeah,
how
I
does
like
it
a
look if
big
I'm like holding here? Is it like at least kind of in focus?
Give us a second to see what you're talking about. So I'll just see Rex laying
Did you
on
pick
the
it up, or do you mean
it's,
just?
oh, here he comes. He's picking it up now.
Oh, we're like way behind then.
Like 5-10 seconds. Not like it's gonna be hard to get detail, but it seems less blurry.
Stupid.
Maybe I should try.
Do you have a manual focus on it?
No, like I can't
Hmm.
get into like my webcam settings to adjust focus at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I don't
Well,
think
it's in
that's a
use.
thing. I could try mess around with because I think what Evan was doing a long time ago when he tried, because he's got the same camera as me. If you plug in the camera to your capture card, you can then use the camcorder as a source, which does have focus control, which might. I don't know how I would like rig it up to like pointing at my stuff.
Yeah, well, the thing is like if I open like the Windows like camera app, that'll do focus control.
Yeah,
With
that's
with
what
the
I do
webcam.
sometimes. But yeah, while it's like in use, I don't know if it'll let you.
Jason Moreno, welcome to our little hangout while we try and figure out Leo's camera. But you've already painted 2 whole core boxes for people. That's incredible.
It's a lot of work.
Take some time for yourself now. Paint your own stuff. That's so much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess depends how you count the B1s, but that's
It's 12 units.
12 to 16 minis, right?
Yeah.
If I did that math right quickly in my head.
It took me 2 weeks to get my core minis painted, not the terrain. And that was me like painting every day for a couple hours a day.
Oh man, yeah, I wasn't even
2
thinking about
weeks.
the train. I was thinking just about the minis. That seems like a lot. With the train, that seems like a lot to me.
Right. I've got base colors down on my terrain, which is enough for now until I catch up on my minis. Ooh, that looks better.
But
Oh, still have the train packs to
focus.
finish. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty decent there, I think.
Yeah, that looks good.
That's good. As long as you're holding it where you were just holding it.
Yeah, nothing like figuring all this stuff out live.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's looking good though. I really like the highlights on the blue. That really pops even when it's a little out of focus.
Pick those a little farther than mine. It's hard to do really good clones. I haven't even got the terrain packs. I figured I'm gonna get the new minis now. I really want the terrain packs. I thought I didn't pre-order them at launch because I'm like, well, I don't know, I'll have other terrain and stuff. And after playing a bunch, I'm like, no, I really want those. Like,
also the terrain, I think was just kind of it was fun to assemble. Like I really liked putting together the terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to painting it too. It's gonna be a lot of like you're not gonna have to care as much, but there's gonna be a lot of fun little like weathering.
Now where the fuck did I set my brush down?
Yeah, I feel like at the point that you're commission painting the terrain, I hope you're like doing an airbrush and basically keeping it really fast and simple, because that feels like it would add a lot of time to do, super detailed on.
Yeah, I primed mine gray. I primed it bronze, and then I masked over the bits that I wanted to stay bronze, and then I primed it gray, and then I plan on going over all the bronze stuff with the Citadel
Typus version?
Neolock
Oh,
oxide. Yeah, the
okay,
like the
okay.
patina verdigris, whatever you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
call it, the Statue of Liberty color to match my big droid statues, and then the gray stuff I'll probably just throw some wash on it, wipe it off so it's just kind of streaky and not only in a few spots. Throw some graffiti, some maybe some like propaganda posters or posters of like.
Yeah.
There's some good posters from the Clone Wars that you can find that were of like in universe Star Wars posters for the old LucasArts games like Day of the Tentacle and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Nice.
it's like that with Arabesh. That I thought those might be fun to just put on a.
Yeah, that'd be a cool little reference.
By the way, so like from where I'm sitting painting, I'm gonna have a hard time seeing chat. So if there is something in there, you guys want to just call my attention to it.
Yeah, we got it.
I thought you were gonna say you're gonna have a hard time seeing your mini. It's like you've got to paint blind. You're not a real master
Watching the
unless you can.
stream to
You
see
must
your
put
own
the
mini.
blindfold on. Yeah, that sounds like a fun challenge. You got to watch. You got to paint, but you're seeing what you're doing on like a 5 second delay.
Oh no.
uh, Jason said he's got to finish his train packs, but he pre-ordered everything and got Padawan and the Shatterpoint foil, which is the way to do
nice.
it. Did you ever get a foil, Kurt?
No.
No.
Hypothetically, some event I might be able to someday.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Like
to leave the house.
Like other people I've talked to at LBW said that they've been giving them out with people who just ordered them. So you might just want to go in and ask.
I think they were technically meant for events, but it's the store's gonna do whatever.
Whatever they want.
Which, yeah, when I got mine because we went to some kind of launch day play thing. There's only 4 people there, and they gave us each one, and then I think the store still has a bunch that they might be holding for future events. So we'll see. They're cool. I want the next set of foils because there's I think Anakin, Ahsoka, Ventress Maul foils that come in like the initiation pack, which is supposed to just be sort of for running store demos or something. I don't know. I don't mind the trend of them making foil cards and stuff.
Yeah, that seems cool.
Definitely better than I still can't get over how dumb some of the Legion Store Championship prizes were.
Yeah,
like most of them were. So the store. I'll start from the top down. So we'll start from the coolest prizes to the least coolest. First place got a foil Boba Fett alt art. So not just. So not even just like a standard, but it was already an alt art of Boba. I ended up giving that to the guy who got second place. Because I felt bad about not rescheduling, but I was not.
No, I mean you got to be cutthroat. You got to use that to your advantage. It's like when people come from out of town, it's like I don't know what you're expecting, buddy, but I'm ready to go. You got to drive. That's on you.
I mean that was sort of my thing, but not in a I'm gonna be mean about it way. I'm like this, if you show up for a store championship, it was not advertised as, hey, round 2 will be tomorrow or whatever. It was, or the final round is like this. You got to do it all in one day, and that's I think the expectation is at a high level event. And I was like, I'm too busy these days. I can't reschedule. Like I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like you should have maybe thought about that before coming from out of town. I don't know.
Yeah, that's sort of that was kind of a strange request. I thought like
I've seen other stores. I know there's this maybe because of this because he came from Phoenix, and I know there's a championship happening in Phoenix where they're saying the like cut to top 4 will be the next day or whatever, which is good if you announce that well beforehand when people are planning their weekends and buying tickets. Our event was just, hey, it's all going to happen in one day. Anyway, I gave him that one because I was like, well, I don't play Empire, so I had no like practical use for the card.
I would want to keep it because it's cool.
Well, I don't know. I felt bad because whatever.
No, I get you.
You're too nice. Too nice. Too nice.
Yeah. So the top two got bikes, I think. Top two got like 2 copies of the Pike Foot Soldiers alt arts. So these are like full bleed with everything, which is one thing. When I look at these Legion cards that I got at Worlds and that we got at the Store Championship, I'm curious if they'll do alt arts for this game, because in Legion you can do really nice full bleed cards because all of the keywords are standardized, and so you don't have to have the full text. You can just have the title of the ability, and that's enough information on the card. Whereas in Shatterpoint, if you had just the title of the ability, I don't think that would work for anybody. They're so wordy and they're not standardized. But anyway, top 2 was Pike, full bleeds, and then top 4 got a Grievous, a Vader, a Yoda, and a Gar Saxon. I think that was top 4. That might have been top 8. Oh, top 2 also got dice. I think top 4 got Pikes, top 8 got those other ones, top 2 got dice, which fun to see them doing dice again, but they're like barely different from the standard dice, which
I was
is
gonna say
weird.
when you showed the picture of those, like you could barely tell that they were like
They're just like a barely different shade of red, and they have a little bit of like metallic in it. Like,
wow.
definitely does not stand out the way every other, back from past Legion dice, X-Wing, Imperial Assault, definitely the weakest of them I've seen.
Can I just say that I've gone from really liking my Rex to fucking hating it now because of these highlights I put on it. Like, they just turned out really bad.
I was gonna say they look extremely good, and they're way crisper than the ones I do. They're really popping.
I mean, I understand that, because whenever I take pictures of my minis, it's like, oh, it looks so much different in real life than it does in the photograph I took. I think those highlights look good. If you don't like them, maybe see if you can like wet your brush and smooth, like feather the edges a bit.
It's already all dry. Like,
oh well. I'm gonna strip the whole mini and start over.
Yep, that's the only solution. I might try glazing a little bit of like.
I mean, you could just go over it again with that black or dark gray or whatever. And
yeah, worst comes to worst, but like I might just try glazing a little bit in all oil over here to see if it'll like smooth out the transitions a little bit and make me hate it less.
Outrider Dan said the Legion Tarot size promo cards through his Legion storage out of whack. I'm assuming you must have been at Worlds too then, because those Tarot size alt arts were super cool, and I don't have a good way to store them. I think they're just like on my shelf. I sleeved them all because thanks to Shatterpoint I bought a bunch of Tarot size sleeves, but they're just kind of they can't go where the rest of my cards are because they're in like a binder. Jason said one of the commissions was for his game store where he demos, and they handed out cards to the people who were there. That's cool. I like when people are painting for their local stores. That feels, because then you get paid for it, but then you still get to like play with the thing you spent all that time on. The promos for the Store Championship that sucked was the top 16 and the top 32. Just insanely dumb choices. It would have been better, in my opinion, to give no prizes for those than what they did.
Okay.
The top 8 and up, very cool prizes, even if the dice were a little iffy, at least it's dice. Top 16 was a limited visibility condition card. And the only thing that differentiates it from the one that you get out of 4-box is in the top corner. There's a little like 16 with a trophy next to it to indicate it was a top 16 prize. That's it. No different treatment.
It's the same art.
Yes. 100% the same, except there's a little 16 with a trophy.
What? Really?
No.
The
Oh, that's
Top 32
cool.
was a key positions objective card with the 32 in the little trophy icon, and otherwise the same. Obviously, it's got the errata, but I was like, oh, well, maybe this is the first time this errata version had been available in print, but no, those come in the Clone Wars core set. Like, it's not like old Imperial Assault days when they would, like, if they had a huge errata on a card, they'd try and provide those through organized play prizes. It's just, hey, here's the I just can't like at least like I don't know, make it put some art on it or
Yeah, do a different.
change the frame or something. I don't
They
know.
have
It's so
so many art
strange.
in their library. Like pull out any random Hoth thing for whatever bad conditions type. Like there's a million. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah, it's
sad effort to not just look up like any other piece of art. It wouldn't even have to match that well. You just be like, oh, it's kind of cool. Even if I recognized it from Imperial Assault or something, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. As long as it wasn't a bad one. That's just
yeah.
weird. Or
I
to
think I'm
not put it
already
in like Arabesh or something, right? Like do like anything at all.
right. Yeah. Hey, here's just a reminder of how you didn't do very well at this event.
Can you imagine, like, though, like an objective with all the text in Orabesh, or
I
like
would love
one of
that.
the?
It would be a bad prize because people wouldn't use it practically, but I would love it.
But you could
Like
definitely do it for like
even
some of the
just
easy conditions where everyone knows what they are. Like clear conditions, obviously. Like be like, oh, it's a cool Star Wars thing. It's got a different art. I don't know. I'm whining about getting a free card, but
it's
I
not
mean,
it's like if somebody it's like going to a magic tournament and getting a free land, it's like you don't need it.
yeah, I mean, if it was an alt art, different land, it'd be like, oh, that's cool. I like this.
Right.
But if it's literally the same land with one tiny little
Yeah.
symbol on the corner, that's nothing.
Insane.
Let's see if I can make a tick mark here. Probably not. It's gonna be way too fat.
On his helmet.
I can kind of get.
I was trying to follow along on a marble base thing, and then I just kind of gave up and kind of dry brushing and speckling different shades on this base, and we'll see if it turns out to look like anything. I just want his base to sort of be really light on Dooku and sort of fancy. Should look like a rich person's floor. And it should be really bright to contrast with the dark colors.
I don't hate those little tick marks. He does. It's obviously not as many as he would have in real life.
This is a younger Rex. He hasn't killed as many innocents yet. Those are actually marking how many civilian casualties he's accidentally caused. Never forget.
All right.
We're like, are we way behind or?
What is?
I guess I don't know Rex well enough. Where are the tick marks supposed to be? Are they on his arms?
There's some on his arms and some on his helmet.
Yeah, I was doing some others, like
Oh,
his little wrist guard things.
okay, I gotcha. I didn't realize that's what you meant.
Yeah,
I thought you were just doing weather.
Yeah, I think they're white on his arm and
Yep.
black on his helmet. Yeah, I didn't bother with that on mine.
Yeah,
I wonder what
it ends up
anyone
looking more
know?
like I just have some weathering on it, really, than those actual like tick marks. But that's fine too.
Still, yeah, I didn't even do really any weathering on my clones with like putting white chips over the paint. I still like how they turned out, but I just didn't. I don't like painting clones. That's why I didn't play Empire or Republic for Legion.
I mean, I don't really either if I were just painting them white, but getting the stripe and like scratching up the stripe is like my favorite thing to do.
I'll
Like,
probably try that on my terrain.
Must have been when I was watching Rebels earlier. Like there was a close up of someone's ship, and I was like, "Oh my god, look at the scratches on that stripe! It was so good. It looked so good."
I wonder what do we? I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat knows, or maybe you guys know what organized play prizes for Crisis Protocol have been in the past.
No idea.
Because at least with Legion and X-Wing and Armada, they seem to have more or less stuck to the same formula that Fantasy Flight already had in place of alt arts and dice and stuff. They stopped doing tokens, which I guess is fine because I have enough tokens. But I really liked when Fantasy Flight would do the acrylic tokens. I wonder what I don't know what they've done for Crisis Protocol, and if because I assume we should expect Shatterpoint's treatment to be closer to Crisis Protocol than Legion.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone in chat's responding, but I thought that they hadn't done much like organized play prize stuff for Crisis Protocol just because of like they sort of launched right as like COVID was coming and stuff, you know.
That makes sense.
But I could be off base there because I mean obviously it's not a thing I've really followed much.
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
So far, nothing in the chat, but Outrider Dan says, speaking of Rebels, Ahsoka trailer looking good.
Yeah.
100% agree.
I'm still like, I'm gonna, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. But I'm still like, I wish it was animated. Didn't even have to be in the same Rebel style. It just feels like, because it's, it's a Rebels sequel in effect. It should just be animated.
Yeah. But
can you imagine? Let's picture the trailer.
It's part 3 of the Ahsoka trilogy of shows.
Picture the trailer. Now picture that just in like an animated style, and don't tell me that doesn't sound cooler than, sort of the not low budget, but not like movie tier budget Star Wars we've been getting from everything except Andor.
I do think they're like the best looking real versions of a cartoon character that we've seen.
I like them all. For whatever reason, I don't like Hera. I'm like, I miss Vanessa Marshall. Maybe it's just because the voice is so different, or maybe it's because her contact lenses look so weird, which is weird because I'm like, oh, I love that Rosario Dawson pushed Filoni because they didn't want her to have contact lenses when they first did her in Mandalorian. And she's like, but Ahsoka has blue eyes, and I have brown eyes. I should wear contact lenses. They're like, okay. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I hope Ezra has like purple contact lenses or whatever. And now Hera has, whatever green eyes or something. I'm like, oh, that just kind of looks creepy in the on what's her face.
We'll have to see. I trust Mary Elizabeth Winstead at least to do a great job acting.
Yep. I've liked her and everything else. I don't know why. Something about that trailer. I was like, eh. But I'm excited for Hera because Hera's one of my favorites.
Yeah, watching Rebel season 1 has been so good. She's like the great, just like perfect vibes of that like leader who you actually do trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like she's not like a gruff leader.
Anti-fascist mama.
And like she always has the right amount of kind of like
tough
like
love
optimism. Well, yeah, that too. I was gonna say like sort of the optimism, like we're gonna help people with this mission, or this is someone we can trust, stuff like that. But also she's not like completely naive about it because like she really quickly tells when people are jerking their chain. Like she makes this like eyebrow raising where you're like, okay, she can tell that this person is not trustworthy, and she wanted to give them a chance because she is like a good person, but she isn't gonna fall for it either.
Yeah,
so
my wife's really been enjoying Hera on our Rebels watch that we've been doing.
Yeah, Hera's just so great. She's even in Bad Batch when she's like a little kid, she's cool. And I'm excited to see what the character's up to in the show or like what her struggles are because
it's like post Alphabet, post Squadrons.
Right, in Alphabet Squadron, she's there and she's kind of has the same like I want to not be fighting anymore, god damn it, but I know I have to. I'm also curious what they do with Jason Syndulla, who's a character I never thought should have existed.
He died on the way to his home planet.
He's in the Lego set, so he'll be in the show.
That's a Force ghost.
This latest trailer kind of made it seem like she might be one of those people, sort of like Leia, who is, trying to sound the alarm of like the First Order and stuff like this, but like,
right? It sounds
because there's
she's
like
that... I don't want another. Maybe I'm almost thinking that there's like another war about to happen, and they're gonna stop it, and then the First Order happens. Like, oh crap! Like,
because like,
and
who would
I'm
believe
excited to see more.
a blue guy was abducted by space whales, but now he's back and he's gonna clone someone.
They're like, yeah, sure, Hera. Okay.
She's like shaking heir to the Empire at them, and they're like, this bathrobe Jedi guy does not look scary.
Listen to Ahsoka. She literally said the words "heir to the Empire." Everything in this book is a prophecy. Curious about, obviously it's Ahsoka's show, but it looks like she's gonna have much, like her relationship with Sabine is gonna be a big deal. Because in Rebels they barely said a word to each other, and it looks like they might. I don't know if retcon is the right word, but like sort of adjusting the finale of Rebels where Gandalf, Ahsoka, the White shows up. It sounds like there's some things that happen before that, like almost like after.
Yeah,
Rebels.
It makes sense to me that like during the original trilogy movies, they're like doing a bunch of stuff and
I always assumed
together
that
maybe, or training or whatever.
I mean, I always assume that Ahsoka doesn't like reemerge or get off Malachor until like Return of the Jedi's over, and that was just the easiest way to keep her from meddling in the events of the original trilogy. Because like, Hera
the timing's not clear, I guess.
Yeah. So, but it seems like, oh, okay, she tries to teach Sabine more lightsaber techniques. I really hope Sabine's not force sensitive. I think that was just sort of trailer teasing, like, oh, she's trying to teach her more lightsaber stuff since she's got Ezra's lightsaber, and then she bails for some reason, and then she comes back again, and that's when she's cut her hair this time, and she's a little bit bitter at Ahsoka, and that seems like maybe what is going on.
Man, Sabine just like stole every, I don't want to say scene because it was just a trailer, but like every shot she's in, she's like so cool looking. She's like embodying the character in such a way I feel like that I'm like, wow, this doesn't feel like a person CG'd onto a speeder bike. It feels like a person who's like actually, like if you compare that to like Book of Boba, right? It's like this looks like a thrilling, I don't know.
During that speeder bike scene, did you guys notice that there was E-wings flying in the background in that shot?
She power slides underneath one that parks on the road. It's not like a background thing.
Well, I didn't notice
it was a focal point.
It's a little more obvious now when you can see the ship just flying.
Man, I think E-wings are dumb. Everyone online is like, yeah, E-wings are back. This is so cool. I'm like, they're dumb.
Yeah,
you're dumb.
I agree. But I do think. I mean, I want to see once we actually see the show. But in the little glimpses in the trailer, it looked a little cooler than a normal E-wing. Like they took some liberties to like make it look a little less dumb.
It's definitely got the same treatment that Ahsoka's shuttle has, where it's like greebled up.
Yeah, I think they maybe added some like.
Also, that looks like the astromech. The astromech port appears to not be like internalized this time.
The number one thing
in Legends, the astromech was like inside it.
Yeah, the number one thing they need to do is not have the gun on top of the cockpit.
It did not appear to be a top cannon in this one, but it looks like in the hangar shots, there's some blue A-wings, which is cool, and there was some looked like maybe the T-70 X-wing now, which is fun to see that sort of like transition.
Yeah, that would make sense because they were old by the time of Force Awakens, right?
Yes, by the time of Force Awakens, the T-70 was like secondhand.
Yeah, and they
The
were
best the
like the
Resistance
New
could do.
Republic was actually using like T-75s, right?
I think they're using
Or like
T-80s or T-85s, which we only see in the premiere episode of Resistance, I think, when Kaz is still with the New Republic.
yeah, that's what
It looks kind of dumb.
I very curious about the not Jedi. I thought the line where they
It
go,
looked so
"We
cool.
we are no Jedi," was like, well, that's good exposition for everybody, but also feels like way too on the nose with Ahsoka.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
um, but I'm very curious about them because the guy said, "Oh, Anakin always spoke highly of you," so he must have been uh, somebody Anakin's age, like some kind of colleague or what, probably just some Jedi.
They were just on the same like forums online. Sky Guy 13 or something. Yeah, they were so cool in the trailer.
What
Both
would
of them,
Anakin
though.
side? What would Anakin's forum name be? Saboba Crusher 28.
Only human pod racer ever.
Yeah, they look pretty cool.
So
They were like
Wizard
their
like
99.
really cool
Yoda.
like action shots, like when they're like force pushing these troopers back. Like it looked, to me at least, it looked like, wow, they're like really getting thrown back. This looks cool. And they're like slightly orange lightsabers, look really cool, and they've got like cool robes. They look awesome.
It looks
I
like
hope
they
they're not
probably.
disappointing.
Yeah, they seem. Some people are because they're. I don't remember what their first names are, but it's like Scal and. Uh,
Barry.
their last names are the names of the two wolves in Norse mythology that chase the sun and the moon. Who, if they ever catch the sun and the moon, like that's part of Ragnarok. So people are like, are these two guys like some kind of like harbingers of space apocalypse, or is that just because Dave Filoni likes wolves and those are
That's what I was gonna say.
little
It's
wolf names that
it's
he can get?
it's the long prophesied reboot. The sequel
Right.
trilogy retcon.
Right. Through Palpatine timeline rewriting magic that Ahsoka learned and Ezra learned, they are going to decanonize the sequel trilogy.
That's the power
For sure,
that
this
he
time,
talks
definitely.
about gaining in the trailer.
Yeah, it's like the fourth wall power. It's going to be like a Deadpool tie-in.
Because it's Thrawn, it's everyone's favorite
They're
Legends
gonna
guy
show
coming
up in that
back.
fight with
Thrawn is the
Deadpool
only
and
one who
Wolverine.
realizes that they exist within art. Like,
Oh man,
Right.
he's looked at art so much that he realizes that he is in fact in a movie.
Yes, he
Cartoon.
saw the patterns and he realized that he used to be in Legends, and they do the timeline stuff. They erase everything that happened since George sold it, and we go back to Legends.
which
Yeah.
includes most of the characters in the Ahsoka show except Ahsoka. They must bring that lady from Mando season 2 that Ahsoka fights out of jail or something.
Well, yeah, because they show her in the talking with the not Jedi guys.
A speculation that
was that her? I think I didn't.
Yeah.
I should have recognized her, and I didn't realize
the
that was
samurai
why.
episode.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I saw some speculation that maybe she's like a Night Sister, which feels like it would weaken Marin's story of being the last one. Unless could she be? She seems too old to be some sort of
Marin's
relation.
daughter, who they let her ferment a little bit in one of the
ferment
in one of the Dathomir.
Next time I see a
zombie
pregnant
ball
lady,
sex.
I'm gonna ask how fermented is that. Because I think in the trailer when they're like in the she's like bringing up that map, I think you can see a little green flame underneath hologram.
Because here's the thing,
and she's like pale and wearing red, so
we've never seen a Dathomirian baby. I'm not gonna check that, but it's definitely true. So we don't know that they
We
don't
have.
gestate. No, they definitely put just for like very special like main character Dathomirians. Okay, so they put them in the zombie ball sack. They grow up faster.
The zombie
And they
ball
get-
sack.
Yeah, that's what's so ironic to me, that Dathomir is such sort of like this
Sisterhood
kind
of
of,
the Traveling Pants.
it's a very feminine society, full of powerful women,
Matriarchal.
and they bury their dead, or they don't bury them, they entomb them in big scrotums. You know,
Well, they're reclaiming it for femininity.
I'll glue this guy together while I'm waiting for that layer to dry.
I think I'm gonna paint Padawan Ahsoka next. I've just been slapping on weird textures onto my Dooku base this whole time, and I can't decide if it looks fine or like trash.
I guess I could be sitting here gluing terrain together. I should be, but I'm engrossed in watching Leo paint. It's like visual ASMR.
um,
I can't stop thinking about the trailer
what else
though.
happens
It
in
was
that
so
trailer?
good. I love. There's like so many great background shots of ships. Mel Miniatures had a good thread on that, and it's like
Is there a new Nebulon type cruiser in that trailer?
I didn't
Nebulon
see
E.
that. Maybe there
I thought there
was.
might
I didn't
be
see
a
that.
Nebulon that didn't have the vertical bit.
I didn't watch the Star Wars Explained breakdown, so if he covers that in there,
No, he didn't talk about it.
hmm.
I am very
I,
curious about just. I liked the New Republic stuff we got in the Mandalorian, like how it's like depressingly not like this perfect new system, um, and I like the literature like Bloodlines and Alphabet Squadron that takes place in this time where they're trying to mop up what's left of the Empire, and Mon Mothma's trying to sort of implement like a
unify.
demilitarize the New Republic, because they don't want to, they're like, hey, this is not the Empire. Like, we're not going to have a huge standing military that looms over everything, which makes sense. But Leia's like, this is a bad idea because that'll make what we've worked so hard for vulnerable.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like what am I thinking of? Like Articles of Confederation time period, right? Is that the right term for it? Like Shay's rebellion, right? They're like, oh, I guess we do need like a federal army so that people don't overthrow us immediately.
Yeah. And that's sort of like how the like Mon Mothma and those people are contrasting with the, like Hera and Leia and maybe Akbar, who like understand there's still threats out there. Where the other like, not like Mon Mothma's dumb, but I feel like at that point everybody might just be like, we need to, can we stop fighting now? Ooh, I can't. I'm
Waiting to see what goes along with that sound. I'm guessing it falls into pieces.
pushing too hard.
Snaps the flag.
No, the damn glue just won't dry. I think I want to put.
Is it super glue probably? Because
Yeah.
it's.
Oh, yep.
You probably don't use plastic glue on 3D printed stuff? Question mark.
No, you can't. So much for this. This the brand name says Instacure on it. So much for that.
Well, you misread the word cure. It's it's for the common cold.
It doesn't mean instant cure. It's Insta like Instagram.
Yeah.
It's Instagram glue.
It'll cure people who are too onto Instagram if you make them drink enough of that. They won't be on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think that's it. That's probably it.
That sounds right.
I was gonna say on the New Republic stuff, the one criticism I have is that like it feels like we never see the New Republic like actually doing anything that good. Like it would be nice if they set some kind of baseline where it's like there is some value here. I feel like we it's kind of the same thing as the Jedi Order in the prequels, where it's just like these guys all suck. It's all bad. It's awful. Here's more shitty stuff. It's still bad. Here's more bad stuff. And it's like, wow, like give us something to root for so that we want them
Well,
to return. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's accurate what you just said. Like they're often saving lives, and the New Republic, I think, is actively not genociding people. So I mean, that's already a plus from the Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times, like, we don't really see. I don't know. It'd be nice because, like, most of the time when we see the New Republic, it's a lot of it is people showing what's wrong with it or complaining about it, and we never really get anyone being all like, "Oh man, thank God the New Republic's here and the Empire is gone." Really,
Show us
Right.
some like even like really obvious stuff like, oh, look at these Wookiees that have been freed, or so like show us. Well, I guess that doesn't happen either, right? Because Chewie's still begging Han to go do something about it, so that
That's
hasn't
in the
happened.
Aftermath books, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, it's because like the Empire didn't just immediately collapse either, so it's
Yeah, for sure. It's just I don't know. They pretty much only ever show the bad stuff, it feels like.
yeah. I really need to reread. I think Bloodline and Alphabet Squadron are probably the biggest sources for that, and Aftermath trilogy, but I'll never reread that. Sucks.
Yeah.
Even if there is good like lore in
I
it.
wasn't even able to finish it the first time through.
Yeah, I got through the first book and I was like, I don't really want to read the others.
I've
remember, like,
I've tried to read that first book 3 times at least, and I just cannot do it. It's so awful. I'm sorry if you're an Aftermath fan, but I've yet to actually meet an Aftermath fan. But if you are that one guy, sorry.
I mean, it did give us Cobb Vanth, so
yeah, and I also didn't even like him in the book either. But then
in the book he was
But then when he's in the show, we were like, oh, you know what? It turns out Cobb Vanth actually a cool dude.
Because if he wasn't in Aftermath, like we still would have got him. I think maybe he would have had a different name or something, but I think we still would have got the same.
The same character would have shown up in some way.
Yeah.
All right.
And Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, Outer Rim Dan says the New Republic's still using the brain scrambler machines and not disabling the knob that turns it up to 11. Right?
No, I mean, they put a sticky note on there that said "Do not turn up."
Oh yeah, they did have like a sticky note that said, "Hey." Yeah, if I like the flawed New Republic thing because it's realistic, but I also don't like the pessimism that comes with that realism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels very. It does just feel pessimistic, and it feels kind of like, I don't know if there's a better word for it, but basically like kind of like neolib in a way. You know what I mean? That's just kind of like, yeah, politics always sucks. You're gonna try to do anything about it? Didn't really do that good, did you? Why'd you even try? Better just leave it how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Outer Rim Dan also says the best part of the Aftermath books was the interlude about therapy Ewoks. That'd be like a sweet gig as like an Ewok going out into the the wider galaxy for the first time, being like, oh, you pay me, okay, so let me get my head around like commerce and capitalism, and you'll just give me money to like hug.
I bet they had money. I bet if we look up on Wikipedia, we'll find out what
you can't like
was.
Yeah, it's probably not. It's probably like berries. Is being a therapy Ewok sort of just like being a prostitute? Not a sex worker. I'm not saying people are doing sexual things with Ewoks, but they're essentially selling their.
But you're not saying they're not doing sexual things with Ewoks.
I don't know where their lines are.
I bet there's real life people that do like hug therapy.
Yeah.
Seems like a real thing.
Well, are those people
Then, like,
therapists or are they like? I feel like every other Western has a scene where they go to the brothel and the one be hugged instead of have sex,
they seem
and
like
they have
different things to
one
me.
Ewok. They have Ewok on hand for that.
I get the joke you're making, but they do seem like different things to me.
Yeah.
But I'm imagining like some droid doing a calculation and being like, yeah, Ewoks are the most huggable species in the galaxy, so your services are coming at a high demand here.
Oh, maybe there's like agencies that have like they hire like species that are most people agree are like cute and therapeutic, and then they just they go out to your house or whatever.
Yeah, they can match you up. You know, different species have different
Like maybe
standards of what's huggable, but so they match you up.
like a big species like a Dawotin or whatever, like the ninth sister. Like they need like a therapy Wookiee.
Yeah,
They're gonna
they
Ewoks
they,
do
they
so.
would they would crush an Ewok, and that would be like a liability problem that your employees getting crushed to death.
Like at least I hope the Ewoks are getting paid. Like I could see them also just being exploited. Like, hey, I'll feed you if people will pay me to hug you, but I'm keeping a profit.
They're
I
giving
think
the
Ewoks
Ewoks
are
like
smarter than that.
I feel like it's like they're giving them like glass beads and like fire water, you know.
They're
Ewoks are
gonna
pretty smart. I think they
in
know what's up.
the not particularly good book Last Shot, there is an Ewok who chose to leave Endor and became like a hacker, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
I don't remember her name, but there was like an Ewok hacker. She always had a little data pad or whatever.
Cool.
That book,
But
all I
that's the
remember
Lando
is,
book?
yeah, it's like a Lando Han Solo book. It was, I think, New Republic time, like after Return of the Jedi time with flashbacks to like, the Dark Times. Like when L3 wasn't part of the Falcon. I remember it being not that great. I also remember there was a part where Han Solo is talking to a Gungan and talks in Jar Jar voice, and the Gungan goes, "We don't all talk like that, sir. I can understand you." And I was like, "Why would he even attempt that in the first place? Like, it's still basic. Like, it's not like people need to. I don't know. It was dumb. Not on my recommended reading list.
Is that a canon one or an old one?
Canon.
Huh. I do not remember. I clearly haven't read that one, but I don't even remember its existence at all.
It came out around when Solo came out. I think a big part of the like flashback was Lando's time with L3, like having a significance on present moment. Best Lando book is Shadows of the Sith, I think it was called. The one that ties into Rise of Skywalker. The one that explains, because in Rise of Skywalker, when they meet Lando on Party Planet, he's like, "Oh yeah, Luke and I were looking for the same thing, and trail went cold, and then I just fucking stayed here for the next 20 years or whatever."
I heard a big party's coming up, so I'm just gonna hang out
Yeah,
then.
I gotta get a good spot. That book was really good, and it's such a funny thing because it's about Luke and Lando. Basically, Lando overhears Ochi, the guy who killed Rey's parents and whose skeleton they find by the hood ornament in Rise of Skywalker. And Ochi is a fun character in the comics because he's sort of a goofball assassin.
Dingus.
Yeah, he's just a loser, which I think is appropriate. But Lando overhears him say the word Sith, or like where he's working for the Sith again, because Ochi has been contracted by Palpatine via his folks on Exegol to kill Rey.
His mom and dad?
Oh no, to kill Rey's
No,
mom and dad.
no, his mom and dad got him the job? Is that what you said?
No,
What'd you say?
I said he got a job because he used to work with Darth Vader all the time, and now the Sith reached out to him again via Palpatine on Exegol. Like I don't know, they contacted him. It was like, hey, Sith got work for you again. You want in? And Ochi's blind and can't. He's got like robo eyes and he hates it. And in the comics, he had visited Exegol with Vader and like seen wonders of like immortality they were working on there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, oh, if I work for the Sith again, they'll let me get to Exegol because there's no way to get there. They'll get me there, and then I can like get my eyes back. And that's basically his motivation. And he needs to kill Rey's parents and Rey, I think.
I like the idea. I like the idea of Vader having this like pal who they like play video games together or something, and he's like, "Oh, my boss is calling. Can you just come with me? We're gonna go to his secret castle base
That's sort
for
of
his
like
cult."
I don't know. That's sort of Vader's vibe in the comics because he's like got Afra and he's got Ochi and he's got a bunch of now he's got the Padme's former handmaidens that are like kind of working for him. Kind of got like weird friends. And then so Lando hears that he's like, well, that's probably not
he spent
good.
his childhood as first a slave and then a Jedi, so he never really got to like hang out and have friends. So now that he's on his own and kind of free, this is finally his chance.
So Lando calls Luke, and Luke is like, huh, that's probably not cool. We should look into it. And then they go on a little Lando Luke team up, which is fun. And there's some other like non-Sith dark side user who's being a problem. And Luke goes to a little seeing stone on Tython that Grogu uses in Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, the book is like mostly like make Rise of Skywalker make sense, the novel.
Yeah, and that's what was like why I like that book so much is because the Luke and Lando characterization and stuff was super good. It's very cool stuff. Like Luke like projects his mind to Exegol or something. It's like, well, this is fucked up, and then he gets like attacked, and like Ghost Anakin saves him, which is cool. And then they do all this cool stuff, and it's all very interesting. And the whole time, there's a bunch about Rey's parents because they're actively running from Ochi, and Luke and Lando are trying to find them to save them. And they sort of like keep like crossing paths or like not really getting to say hi, but like helping them from a distance. And then the whole time I'm like, man, this book is so good, and I know where it leads. Building up to Rise of Skywalker, I know Ochi is going to end up dead next to a hood ornament in the desert. I know Lando's going to end up doing nothing on this planet. I know Luke is going to just, go back to give up and go back to his school that falls apart. Like, I know all of these characters are just going to have stupid fates at the end of this really good book. And it does do a good job of, like, making a lot of that stuff make sense. Like, the dagger, like, still dumb, but that book makes it better. It's like this ancient Sith artifact that, like, hungers. Like, if you are wielding it, it, like, makes you want to stab people, and it, like, absorbs their blood and, like, powers itself up. So, it's a magic item, which will let me excuse the Goonies moment more.
Like it magically shapes itself to look like
the
Death Star?
Sure.
Does it, though?
That's never...
I don't know if it talked about that.
Yeah.
I will infer that because it's magical in other ways. I know, it's just a really good book. And then at the end, everything just, they stab Rey's parents. I think Luke and Lando find them because they enter Jakku's orbit and a body hits their windshield and it's Rey's dad. They're like, huh, I think we're late.
Jesus.
It also, because in The Force Awakens, the flashback of Rey's parents leaving when she's like a little girl in Unkar Plutt, it's Ochi's ship. It's the same ship you see in Rise of Skywalker. So that book had to have Rey's parents get into Ochi's ship because that's where they're stabbed. So in the book, they have this really fancy ship, and they're like, let's go steal Ochi's ship so he doesn't have a ship. I'm like, but you already got this great ship. I'm like, well, I guess you got to steal his ship so that those scenes in the movies make sense while you were in his ship.
Great.
And they gave Rey to Unkar Plutt because he like they knew he sucked, but they like also knew that he could be trusted to like honor. They're like, okay, you keep her safe. I don't know. It was just very funny when it gets to the end and Ochi's like delirious and he's like, I'm gonna go ride in my Sith car and drive out in the desert. Oh, I'm dead. I'm like, that's it. It's just
like
sort
what
of like
happens to him? He just dies of thirst?
no, his car crashes into the sinking sands and he falls under there, I guess, and dies. Yeah, I guess.
He just lies down and dies.
Yes.
Like you do.
He's like, well, I don't have.
It felt very I don't know if Game of Thrones is the right comparison. Maybe Snowpiercer, where it's just like a great story
Is
that
it?
at the very last second just takes a big fart.
Snowpiercer sucks from beginning to end.
I liked it, but I really liked it because the ending just kind of dumped on everything that came before.
I hated it because like it makes no fucking sense. The whole like setup. I'm like, this is dumb.
Train go, people eat babies. That's the setup.
It's bad. It's bad.
Well,
maybe the show's better, but the movie sucks.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was a show.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Is there anything else from the trailer we forgot about?
I just liked the background ships. Like I said, there's that thread from Mel Miniatures or whatever, and there was just like a cool Mon Cal cruiser thing, and various cool shuttles and stuff. And I want to see these ships. I wish they were.
I could start putting some blue.
Still making cool tabletop games with ships that they could put ships in, be like free money for them. They felt like
yeah, like what if they made like a, sort of like Legion but in space, so like big scale battle.
Yeah, where you have like a whole fleet. That would be interesting.
Or like not a battalion. I don't know what the word is for space.
Fleet?
Or naval warfare. Oh no, armada. That's the word, armada.
I think what they should also do, it'd be cool if they had a spaceship game like that, but instead of like shooting each other, it was like a space like trade lanes, like you're trying to like all dock on Tatooine at the same time or something, or Coruscant.
Oh, it sounds like a Euro game where it's like air traffic control the game. That sounds actually kind of fun.
But it would still be a minis game. You would buy expansions for like, ooh, there's this cool new type of shuttle. Ooh, I got a Ghost Anti-Carrier. Well, I got a Sea-Rock.
This one has comes with a pilot that knows the controller, so he gets priority.
Yeah, there would still be like upgrade cards, and you would do tournaments. I think it would be really great. But it'd be an excuse to buy these non-combat ships that you never get in things like X-Wing, basically.
I'm just excited to see the Ghost again.
What else was cool in the trailer? Yeah, the Ghost.
Because the Ghost is one of my favorite ships.
Chopper looks really good live action, like really detailed.
And
same voice.
They had him on stage at Celebration, and I'm just worried he might be too articulated.
Oh
like
yeah,
he might look too much like a theme park attraction instead of a
character living.
Yeah, like it's because there's like a pivot on his dome where like the dome can wobble side to side. I'm like, that's not what it has. Like, I mean, it's Chopper, so he's worn out and probably has some abilities.
How do you know that that's just not how that model is made?
I don't know, because I watched Rebels and I watched that one episode of Clone Wars, and those two C-series astromech droids did not the live action one moves in ways the animated one didn't. I don't think his head ever moved side to side like fun, and he wobbled his legs.
It wobbles. It like tips back and forth. It doesn't like slide.
Okay, well maybe I'm crazy then. I don't know. It was just weird seeing it in live action to like have all those like points of articulation that you're not used to on astromech droids. Are you using the order card as a reference?
Yeah, what about it?
What if you get paint on it?
Then I do.
Is that your usual mode of reference?
No.
Or
I just
just
wanted
because
to
you're
see
not by
what
your computer?
I'm just not by my computer, and I just wanted to see
Okay.
what
Oh,
these
that's fine.
what these 501st guys look like on the card. So
More um every Star Wars character needs a clear back view. It's so hard to find good reference
Yes.
of the backs of characters sometimes. I could not find a good reference of Gar Saxon's back. I don't think he even has a Black Series figure.
Wow.
Pro tip to the people in the chat: my go-to method for finding color reference for painting Star Wars characters is to look up an action figure, usually the Black Series or something higher end like from Sideshow, because they still have uh, the colors are more simplified than in real life because it's blocked out kind of the way you would paint your Mii. So I like that. It's not 100% foolproof because if you look at reference photos of Jango Fett, his jumpsuit's like purple, but most of the figures make his jumpsuit sort of a bluish color. I wonder if he just had
Depends
even
so
more.
much on the reference photo. I mean, I have live action ones that I pull down for him too, and yeah, just in some lighting in some scenes, or
Right.
some promo photos, it does look more blue or more gray.
Oh yeah, the 501st and I suppose Rebel Legion and the other costuming groups would probably all have really good reference photos.
that's what I
For a lot of the
usually do is I go to the CRLs on the 501st website and check those out. At least for like a lot of like like little details and stuff like that. Like, oh, what color are these little lights on?
And I'll tell you what, if you're referencing the card art, which is fine, but it's not accurate. If you look at the Ahsoka art for Shatterpoint, the trim on her outfit is like a silver metallic, and if you look at Ahsoka from those last episodes of the Clone Wars, that trim is actually gold. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would
if
say
I see you with silver trim on the table, I'm gonna call you out so hard. I think it looks better silver, but just saying it's not accurate.
Yeah, in all cases, I think you've really got to like find reference photos from like all possible sources, and ultimately, I think like 90% of the time there isn't really a for sure good answer on so many different things that you just kind of have to say, well, which one do I want to do?
Right.
I think a lot of the times the action figures are not what I would call accurate, but I still appreciate looking them up and having it like, ooh, here's another spectrum.
The action figures are almost like this is what we all think it should look like anyways, whether it's perfectly accurate or not. Sort of like I always think of in terms of non-accurate action figures besides Django is Hoth Han Solo, because half the action figures Han Solo's winter jacket is blue and half of them it's brown, and then you watch the movie and you're like, I don't know which of those is right. They're both right. It's the dress again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Django, like the promotional, because like sometimes like if you find promo stills for characters, it's
sometimes those have better light.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I had a heck of a time finding reference for Anakin in this game because I just immediately assumed it was his Revenge of the Sith look. But then I was like, well, why is he wearing a glove on both hands? He should have a glove only on one hand. And then I looked at End of Clone Wars look because that's the most detailed versions of models of the digital characters. And he still only had one glove. And I'm like, what? And then turns out earlier in the show, he had two gloves. I still painted him with only one glove, so he's got some sort of little glove on his hand. But I was like, oh, it's interesting. Also, the colors, like if you look at the colors on the Anakin, like that Revenge of the Sith like outfit Anakin, so many different sources have so many different colors because it's so drab and dark in the movie. Like different like I don't know artistic interpretations of that character. Just so like if you look at the Shatterpoint art, like brown and almost like magenta and stuff. Some of the parts, which is cool. Just used my very first satin varnish on Dooku's base.
Woo-woo.
I need to go over all my stuff with the AK matte. Maybe I'll just do that to Dooku right now. It'll be my first fully sealed Shatterpoint mini.
So I did finally. Go ahead.
I just put the gloss on his boots and the satin on his base. I guess I'll just the rest of them.
Boots with the fur.
Putting ard coat on leather boots minis is always so satisfying. Them shiny bad guy boots. What are you saying?
Oh, I did finally grab some terrain and start gluing it together. And just immediately jammed my X-Acto knife into my thumb.
Oh no.
I'm sitting in a non-normal position so I can be at my computer and the microphone. And I don't have my bright lights on, and I don't have my table topper here, so I'm trying to do it a weird way.
You have super glue? Put super glue on the wound. Isn't that like super glue is like a legit good option for sealing wounds?
Yeah, it's fine. It was only one drop of blood, and then it sealed up.
All that for a drop of blood. Outrider Dan in the chat says, I advocate for non-canon paint jobs. Make your mini your own. John Lynch says, that's what I did for my Ventress. Might do that for Barris. And he also says, no, Kurt. All right.
Yeah, I think
Kurt's okay.
Yeah. I'm live streaming from the ambulance now, so I will be okay once I get to the hospital.
All of my core figures I made canon colors. I kind of wish I'd done something different with my Ventress. My Dooku is where I started to depart. I painted my Dooku the same way I painted my Legion Dooku, which is
if you like it,
red cape, dark red boots, and gray outfit, and I really like it. I didn't want to mess with Django too much because I feel like as soon as you change his colors, it's just going to look like any other Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's not really Django anymore then.
Same with like Bo-Katan and Gar, and then the other Mandalorians. Maul, all the other like named characters, you got a lot of wiggle room with. I think. Same with the clones. Like I don't want to mess with the clone colors because in this game, it matters if you can distinguish between the 501st, 212th, and the Wolf Pack and whatever.
Well, at least with the clones, it's kind of nice because like you can use the colors, but sort of put a pattern on them however you feel like.
Right. Yeah. As long as it's like blue for the 501st. I mean, if you had purple 501st, I wouldn't, say, hey, that's illegal. But I think the colors matter a lot for the clones. But
it could make it hard to tell what they are on the table,
Yeah, like if you get to the point where you're playing this game enough where you kind of you've memorized what abilities what units have, and someone comes with clones with orange trim or yellow orange trim, but then tells you it's Rex in the 501st. This is not Commander Cody, and this is not the whatever his
112th.
Yeah, I could see you occasionally thinking that they're gonna have one ability when they have another in your head.
Yeah. Travis Griffin says, I'm doing all mine in 2003 Micro Series, which sounds awesome. Nice. It should just only put characters in this game that were from that show. Just
is he modding up like his Obi-Wan to have like the cape like over his armor and stuff?
He preemptively answered that question. He says, more colors rather. Just colors, which is still cool. So I feel like it would be cool to do Rex up like Fordo with the red.
Mm-hmm.
But Fordo also really kind of needs that like Phase 1 clone helmet. Too bad they didn't give Rex 2 different helmet options.
And then also to kind of seal the look, mod his gun to be just a giant t-shirt cannon, just solid cylinder with no details.
Outrider Dan points out that the clones we currently have do have different rifles, so it wouldn't complicate things
I
quite so
probably
much.
won't be looking that closely.
It's like the DC-16 versus the DC
15A,
yeah.
DC
But the 501st guys
23X,
have the smaller one.
the baby rifle.
For baby troopers. But they give them in their baby clones.
And they're shinies. I'm gonna put some blue on the back of his helmet. I have no idea if it's supposed to be there in this guy, but I'm doing it anyway.
And Travis, it would be very hard to mod clone armor onto all of Obi-Wan. You'd probably just have to take a clone and then put a lightsaber in his hand and then put a little skirt on him. Doesn't Clone Wars Obi-Wan have? He's got full clone armor, but he still has like a cape.
Yeah. And that's what I've seen people do, is they basically have been putting like Obi-Wan heads onto clone bodies. And
I don't know. I mean, someone who's good with green stuff could just sit and go panel by panel. It's too much work for me, though.
We need Shaggy. Speaking of Gendy clone
God.
Wars. He would be a support unit. First support Jedi character.
And when he dies, the rest of your team gets a bonus or something?
I feel like the player who defeated him would, instead of getting a momentum, they just get to refresh all their force. Oh yeah, the Legion helmets are about the same scale as Shatterpoint, because the Legion guys have big heads. So I guess if you had a Phase 1 helmet line,
are they really that big?
Oh yeah.
I think the heads are about the same size. Like I held them next to each other, and because I've had my Legion Ventress and Ahsoka on the table for a while, and Ventress's head is yeah.
Yeah, I guess like here's like my Rex and my spare. I think this is a Rex Phase 1 helmet, and yeah, I think it's actually slightly bigger than the Shatterpoint head, the Legion head. There.
This is not the right way to do this terrain. It's too tight, it won't go in.
That's what she said.
Now that I've used a glue on that part, but
that's what she said.
realized it would be too small.
Did you make the same mistake that somehow everybody's made about that one tower?
Not the top piece, but that's the part I'm working on. I'm trying to get the last side on, and that's too tight. The top went on fine.
It was interesting to me that there was a number of videos. Sarastro and a couple other people put out hey, here's the tip about assembling this piece of terrain. Make sure you slot it in before you do all the 4 walls. And when I was building, I'm like, it literally shows you to do that in the instructions.
It didn't at first. AMG changed the assembly instructions after.
That makes more sense. I was like, is everybody just ignoring the instructions?
Yeah, my trouble is the 2 long side pieces went together too tight, so I can't get the ends on.
Did you are you using super glue or plastic?
Yeah, super glue.
Yeah, see, I kind of had the same problem, but since I had a plastic glue, there was still some flex and give in it.
Yeah, I've just been using only plastic glue, except for I usually use super glue to stick the feet to the base.
ripping it apart here. Ow! That's
no.
not good.
Kurt's wounded again.
Just breaking it into pieces here, trying to fix it.
You did you create a Shatterpoint in it?
I guess I did.
Clever.
You know, I guess the real Shatterpoint was in me all along.
Assembly instructions, errata. Speaking of errata, my current biggest pet peeve, which is the lack, because they recently put out an updated rules book. It's just the lack of clarity on exactly what has changed.
Yeah.
Because in the errata document, there's like a bulleted list of, hey, we updated this section, and but what exactly in that section did you update?
I don't know why they couldn't continue Fantasy Flight's.
They started doing that again with Legion, actually. The last time they updated the Legion rulebook, they specifically put in blue the things that were changed, which was just amazing. It's like, oh my gosh, I can know exactly what changed without having to, like, use some kind of like text comparison software or something. And in Shatterpoint, I guess they didn't think they needed to do that, which, because everyone's like, wait, what? Because in this case, it was like one word that got removed. So it's, it's a pain to, like, for players to go comb through it and figure out exactly what difference was.
If you don't have it memorized and it's not highlighted.
Right. It's weird. Travis also says some Legion weapons are also to scale for Shatterpoint, which is handy because I've got a bunch of, extra bits that I'm like, well, these are all probably a little bit too small to use in like mods or like junk on my bases. But if it's a weapon or a head, it might be the perfect size.
It doesn't have enough blue. I want to paint up his knees blue.
So I'm putting this AK matte varnish on the minis that are on my desk right now. So I've got some poured out, which
Yeah.
I really like. But my question is, when I get to Django, what do I do with his armor? Because he's my only character that I gave deliberately metallic paint armor. The rest of my Mandos don't have metallic paint. So I wanted it to pop more. But putting the matte varnish on it, I feel like is going to possibly move some of that pop. But I feel like putting gloss varnish on it is going to be too much. Just leave the metallic parts unvarnished.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could try this satin varnish that I got. I think I'm going to put this satin varnish on the clones armor. So they're not like super glossy, but they at least have a little bit more shine than the rest of everything. So they stand out a bit because, they should be a little shiny. Especially mine since they're not really weathered. Travis says the dark saber from Legion totally works in Shatterpoint, which for Maul, good idea. I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah.
Especially because his offhand is making a fist, which would totally work for holding.
Yeah.
I think the Shadow Collective Maul Darksaber is bigger than Gideon's and Sabine's.
It might be. I remember being very long. like so long that it would like kind of looks weird in a person's hand.
Are we still doing That's What She Said?
I might have chopped mine to be a little shorter because I remember it looked
unhealthy. I had 2 Shadow Collective sets, so I did one Maul with his lightsaber and one Maul with. Did we lose Kurt?
what? I'm here.
Oh,
What?
nothing. Seemed like you stopped mid-sentence when you were talking about chopping yours short.
I don't remember. Maybe I trailed off.
I think Ventures is still my favorite sculpt in this game.
She's good.
/ one of my favorite paint jobs.
Did you get the Luminara pack?
Yeah, I haven't opened them yet because I figured I could have Bethany do an unboxing again, especially for the
those have been good.
For the dual pack, which might cause her some more confusion than usual. Not that things are, because it's like, what is the point of this sort of thing?
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing the 3 newest releases in one video, like, oh, here's the July releases minus Grievous.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Rather than a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, I think those unboxings have been pretty good. Have they
I
gotten?
Like them. I don't think I would be if I was doing it myself. I don't think that too interesting. I tend to find what she thinks about things amusing. The KOTOR unboxing did not have as much views as I'd hoped. The Star Wars Rivals unboxing, they do better than our. Yeah, about 300.
Have they been getting like any comments?
A couple. I mean, they perform better than. Actually, I don't even know what our standard is now.
Yeah, it's been changing since we got some more subscribers.
Yeah. Moving on up.
If we made some regular Shatterpoint content, might.
Well, I'm gonna try and record another gameplay.
Ooh.
Like, that's kind of always been our deal. Is we're a little bit slower on like the quote unquote battle reports, but we put a lot more effort into editing them. I'm not sure if that's a trade-off people appreciate or not, but I'm gonna try and record another one because I want to do more, gameplay videos of Shatterpoint, and those unboxings will be more stuff. I'm not sure. I also I don't know if you guys. I might make you do it whether you like it or not. I think it'd be fun to just have a little discussion of basically like a wish list now that we've seen how a lot of these characters function, what's coming, and stuff. Like, oh, what are characters that you would just go nuts for if they announced it, or what you want? Like, what's your wish list of items for the game? I think that'd be fun.
I would probably want just an X-wing, like it's my whole my whole
It
squad.
counts as 2 primaries, 2 supports, and 2 secondaries.
Yeah.
One thing last time I was playing, it occurred to me that I would rather be referred to as supporting than secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Being called secondary feels a little bit derisive, and being called supporting, that just sounds like
you're still helping.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Like, hey, I'm an important part of what's happening here.
Yeah, it feels like they could have found some thesaurus word that was less. Also, they could have done a word that doesn't also start with S. like that is just like a hair too much brain power sometimes, where it's like, wait, which is this? Oh,
Um, should have been hero, sidekick, and minion.
yes, actually, yes. Well, but it can't be hero because some of these are bad guys. Protagonist, NPC, and
I wonder how. I don't think there'll be vehicles in this game. I think that's going to be reserved for Legion. But if they did, I wonder how. Like, I feel like a swoop bike would already be too big for them.
Yeah, and it's like it would move too fast, like it would fly all the way across the board.
But I'm
every time.
curious about.
I could see like a tauntaun rider, you know,
That'd be cool.
like Han on a tauntaun
Tanha
while eating bonbons.
going to the Autobahn. Watching Tron. I'm curious if they are ever going to do droidicas, because droidicas seem like kind of a obvious inclusion. You know, they're cool. They're the right scale. They're iconic. The question is, they're so incapable of vertical movement, which is such a big part of this game. I would just be curious how they would, address that.
That would
Like,
be kind of interesting, though. That'd be like a neat downside to have to deal with, kind of.
right, but if
Maybe.
they can't, if it says this unit cannot climb or use ingress point, that's too much already, because an ingress point could include an elevator, which they should be able to. So you can't like have a blanket statement like that. But then if you don't, they can climb ladders, which is silly. Um, so either there's going to be maybe a little bit too much keeping them from moving upwards, or there'll just be a bit of like cognitive dissonance where it's like, yeah, whatever, they can climb ladders.
They have the rockets in their legs, just like R2. We just never saw them before.
In Battlefront 2, the droidicas can like hop a little bit. A little hop. Yeah.
And
Also, R2 being able to climb. There's so many characters that like climbing ladders is funny.
Yeah.
Even characters who can climb ladders. It's just like a Mandalorian. Like, you have a jetpack. You don't need to climb.
Yeah, it's funny to imagine Maul like force speed sprinting over to this ladder and then like climbing up it instead of jumping.
Yeah, I need to swap out all the ladders with the Jedi Survivor dangly rope that kind of yanks you up and lets you shimmy down. That feels more appropriate for everybody.
Even if it weren't like an ingress point, that would just be very funny. Not funny. It would be cool to have that in the trains. Little references like that.
Yeah, there's so many things in Survivor that you could like make as ingress points or like house rule ingress points. Zipline, like you could do a zipline and say, okay, this is it's on this side of the map is one end of it, and this side of the map is the other end of it. Like, or you could even have a zipline and say, this is only one direction. Only this end works to like go.
Like the little grapple points. They wouldn't even have to be a rules thing. It could just be like, oh, did anyone notice there's a little Jedi Survivor reference in there?
Outrider dances, Vader or Palp on a ladder.
God.
Don't want to be under Palp on a ladder.
Well, haven't you ever played Battlefront 2? Vader just jumps up there. He like, or was that Battlefront 1 where he just like sort of like hovered around? Like,
I think that was Battlefront 2, where if you jumped like a force jump, he sort of like floats. He didn't come down. He like wafted down, like he was helium balloon.
Like he came down like Princess Peach in the Mario games. Like in Mario 2, how she sort of like her dress poofs out and she sort of floats down.
Now, is it more embarrassing to do that to jump up on top of a gantry, or to do Palpatine's like drill move everywhere?
He's absolutely going to have an ability that is that drill move. It's going to be called like Wicked Corkscrew, and it's going to cost no force. It'll just be perform a dash, and then you can add an attack. It'll be like Obi-Wan's hello there, but instead of a jump, it's a dash.
Okay, but for real, he's gonna have unlimited power. He's gonna have I am the Senate. He's gonna have.
If he has an I am the Senate ability, I'm gonna
go to Wilshick's house and
I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna knock on his door. I'm gonna go, really? I'm gonna sigh.
You know what you did.
And then I'm gonna go home. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna express my, judgment and disappointment. Like unlimited power. That seems like a great name for a Palpatine ability. Give in your hatred or what. That may be a Vader's. There's quotes that are memes but are still essential to the character. It's treason then? Yeah, that's another meme one. That's like, well, that's a meme.
At least
that's
it
not
makes
like
sense.
intrinsic to the character, but it does make more sense as an ability than I am the Senate. If that happens and I play as him, I'm gonna have to because I like following the story of what's happening during games that I'm playing. Because that's part of why I play games is it's a fun little story that's unfolding on the table. So if he ever has to use that, I'm gonna have to come up with just articulated that he is the Senate to whoever he's fighting.
I think they're gonna do like a pre-mask off Chancellor Palpatine, okay? And he has a special rule where he's on a separate board by himself. He's like at the play or he's at the Senate chambers and he like does these rolls and the enemy gets like a teen Anakin who's like hanging out with him, and you're just making these like dialogue rolls against each other to see if you can like convince him to turn to the dark side. It's like a little mini game.
If there is an enemy Anakin Skywalker in play, you get to take control of them.
But only if you can recite the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise from memory.
Funny unit I would want, and I don't think would be. I just want this game to become as diverse in the silly characters it puts out as the Wizards of the Coast miniatures game was, which one of my favorite silly ones was Han and Carbonite. And I just want that. Basically, you put it in your army. Your opponent is the one who gets to deploy it, and then it can't move or anything, can't take damage, just sits there. And in Shatterpoint, it would be if it would be a supporting unit too that you include in your army, and it would say if you are within range 1 of it, spend 2 force, and then you can replace that Han and Carbonite with a primary Han Solo unit. So you get a 3 primary squad, but the cost is you've got to rush somebody across the board to thaw out Han Solo.
I don't know, though. At the same time, something like that, as mobile as some characters are in this game.
Yeah, true.
It seems like maybe it's very easy to pull off.
I just love the idea of the Han and Carbonite piece having legitimate gameplay function. Because in the miniatures game, it was just it gets deployed with your enemy. If you interact with it, you can swap it in with a Han that cost you half as much squad points when you were building your squad. It's a lot harder to do in that game.
Okay, so I have a Shatterpoint terrain question while I'm assembling this. This little tower thing I'm doing. It's the one that we were talking about. The little one that's like tiny and it's too tall.
Yeah.
When you did the second level that sticks up, did you just glue that on, or did you, like, I feel like that's gonna be hard to store. Did you try magnetizing it or anything like that?
I just glued it on.
Yeah, I just glued it.
You can put it in whatever orientation you want to, but I just glued it. I think it'd be a weird hassle to not glue it, because then you'd have to magnetize it or something. Because it's not going to stay put without glue.
Yeah, I mean, would it be...
I don't have trouble storing them either. With the two of them, you can just sort of like have them spoon, and then it works.
Two of them? Are there two?
Two of those little towers.
Oh. I didn't notice that yet. Yeah, because I mean, hypothetically, if you did magnetize it, then you'd be like, oh, now there's multiple ways I can attach it.
But right, it would be cool, but
it probably wouldn't
like
be
a lot of work.
That interesting, because is this platform a size that can attach to any other piece? Well,
yeah.
At least then you can take it off if you felt like it. Oh, but it would
I mean,
fit
it just, I was going to say, it just slides into the, like the little slots along the edge of every, like, tower kind of thing, or
it's the right size.
Yeah, all of those are like the perfect size to like slot a game.
Yeah, so really you could slot it anywhere you want on any one of your like upper floor kind of things.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how tightly it would stick in once this is base coat. Like, could you just dry fit it and have it be snug? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think because of the way it extends over the base, you know, the center of gravity is going to be off. They would probably fall out.
Definitely seems like it would be a pain to magnetize. I don't know. The gantries just sit on fine, right? You guys didn't glue those or anything? Okay.
I didn't even glue the...
You mean like the bridges?
The catwalks, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even glue the like pillars underneath them. Yeah, they just sit on fine.
Well, I glued the pillars.
Could Gar Saxon have glossy armor? Might look kind of neat since it's black.
So Joe, you said you spray painted your buildings bronze or copper or whatever?
Yeah.
That was your actual spray color?
Yeah, I had a can of Rust-Oleum aged copper or whatever, you know, just from Walmart.
Yeah, Rust-Oleum makes sense. I was gonna say, otherwise that seems like a really kind of random color to be spray. I mean, I guess they have a lot of colors of spray primer, but still.
Yeah, I bought it a long time ago for those droid statues I have. So I still had some left, and then I used that. And it kind of ran out, so I'm gonna have to go over some of the stuff, like the gantries at least. But yeah, that's. Then I had, I think, some kind of Vallejo gray primer. So it's kind of a concrete color. So it's all going to be concrete buildings with all this bronze trim. But most of the bronze, I'm probably going to, you know, put the Statue of Liberty effect on.
The verdigris.
Oh, Outer Rim Dance, Outrider Dance. Sorry. Only mod I did to my Shatterpoint terrain, you got core plus one of each box, was to add weights to the pieces that go to height 2. Reduces tipping over. Got wheel balancing weights.
Wow.
Sounds like on Amazon. wheel balancing weights. They wheelie balance. My weights wheelie balance.
I bet you could even just put like some washers or some glue like some washers into the interior of the terrain to like sort of weight it down a bit.
Yeah, because when I have both of my height 2 ones connected by a long gantry, that feels a little trepidatious.
Sounds awesome. I suppose once you get minis on top, is when it'll.
Yeah, and then I do. Last time we did that, I have the R5 droid statue. I have is basically the perfect height for. It comes up just shy under that like height 2 gantry, so I just put it underneath because it worked as cover, and then if there was any stability issues, it would support it in the middle. But it's also handy to just have like a height 2 gantry to nowhere if I need one. And I found out I have a second unpainted version of one of the droids, so I might make another one. Figure I'll just my terrain will be Droid City. Kind of want to make in Alphabet Squadron. They go to some moon that's basically run by droids. Humans and organics live there too, but droids are sort of like the primary first class citizens. And there's they see like a sign, some kind of, I don't remember if it was like a billboard or a banner or something that just said "No meat, no masters." That's awesome. I want to make that sign for my town. I wonder if it'll ever be possible to have an all droid squad. We're gonna get like an IG-88 primary. It's hard to think of droids they would put as a primary character.
Yeah, like especially since Kalani already isn't, like it seemed like he would have been a
right. Especially because he's like the coolest of the droids. Like in Rebels, he's like, more independent.
I do feel like IG-88 could be. Maybe IG-11. I don't know. And obviously, they're not.
IG-11
the
feels
main character.
secondary. I want a Cal Kestis with 5 sides to his stance card.
Yeah, if they do make a Cal, what do you think will be his like I assume they'll sort of use the different like lightsabers that he can have as like his different forms. But yeah,
I think they'd either go super into it and make him the only one who has like, a quote unquote 5-sided card that lets you pick between all of the stances available in the game. Or they would just do sort of the single blade, double blade, or whatever.
Yeah, what do you think would be like the most iconic ones that are the most Cal Kestis-y?
Single blade and double blade, I think, would be the most Cal Kestis-y because that's what he has in the first game.
I feel like he would get some kind of like force freeze power.
Yeah, although like I think giving him saber and blaster would be a unique thing to kind of help differentiate him from other lightsaber wielder units.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 force users right now that have the ranged attack. Ku and Maul have ranged attacks.
And if you did it right, you could tie that into the abilities on the card too, and have some neat things like after you do a ranged attack, get this. After you do a melee attack, get this, and then you kind of feel like, ooh, I want to switch back and forth or pick which one to do, depending on the needs. Like that's something I was really noticing watching the Rebel Season 1 finale I was watching today. Like there's a great part where Kanan takes Ezra's lightsaber and is fighting the Inquisitor, and he's like, kind of doing some of the same moves I end up doing in Jedi Survivor, where I'm like stabbing and then shooting and then stabbing. Like you'll run up to someone. Like I just love that's like my favorite lightsaber form in that game, to come up and like shoot someone to like kind of drop their guard and then stab them right after, stuff like that, you know? It like works so well. It's like every Jedi should do this.
But it's uncivilized. Yeah, that's I think my favorite stance too. I feel like it's the least like good all around one. It's very kind of utility, but it's I love the animation. Some of the finishers for that one
The
are so
launches are cool. Yeah.
yeah. It does feel very sort of fencing-y with the animations on that one. Very pointy, less slashy.
Which with like a lightsaber, you only need to hit them with the tip. And then they're probably not in good shape after that.
Dan is pointing out all of the poncho painting options.
Oh my god, yes, please.
I mean, if they don't give us a 5-sided stance card and assembly options to reflect all of the different outfits and customization options in there, what do they even do?
Yeah, if I can't have my mullet with the big old handlebar mustache,
Yeah, they
Cal, then
I
quit Shatterpoint
should
forever.
get print on demand. Like you design your cal, you submit it to them, and they'll print the sprues for you for that specific.
And everyone is unique. Once someone orders that combination, it becomes grayed out for everyone else in the future.
Oh, speaking of the Inquisitor, who, if you think about it, lost to Kanan, who's, not the greatest Jedi skills-wise. Maybe that means the best of the Inquisitors is still pretty mediocre at stuff.
I mean, main characters kind of have plot armor, but it was
doesn't the Inquisitor
that
lose
scene.
to Kanan because Ezra like uses dark side shit or something?
No, Ezra gets
He falls
in the
off.
face. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kanan thinks he's dead, and he's like, "Well then, gloves off now."
He basically says like,
Nothing left to die for. No, it's because I got nothing left to lose. Something like
nothing
that.
left to fear.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's
But even
earlier
so,
in an earlier episode or whatever when Ezra's using like he kind of dark sidesy a little bit.
Yeah. I do think one thing I really picked up on, or at least I felt like watching the finale, was it really, for some reason I thought that was when the Inquisitor turned to the light side, but that's actually not at all hinted in that episode. So I was just misremembering that, but
he stays dead. He stays bad.
Yeah, for sure. It seemed to me like he I feel like he could have kept fighting if he wanted, but he intentionally chose to let go, in a way that felt like, I don't know, maybe reading too much into it, but
he
it felt
chose to let go because he knew he failed, and dying was better than facing Vader after failing.
Exactly. I think he could have easily jumped up and kept fighting, but he was like, I think he could have survived. Maybe he wouldn't have like killed Kanan there, but I think he didn't have to die, but he did choose to. That's what it felt like, at least.
Yeah, and that was a great ending too, because it's like, oh, this guy would rather die than tell Darth Vader he fucked up.
Yeah, and then you get the Vader reveal a couple minutes after that, and it's like, oh shit, season 2 is about to get real.
I think season 2 is still my favorite season of that show.
Yeah, I just watched the finale the other day. That was some intense shit.
Such a great premiere too, where they're like, okay, well, we got to help Minister Tua, and then Vader's like, tricked you guys, blowing you up. I just remember watching that for the first time when they try and fight Vader, and it's just not even anything he needs to it's just such a non-challenge for him. I was like, oh my god, so scary.
I gotta say though, I really, really like season 1. There seem to be a lot of people online that think it's like outright bad.
Well,
And
though most of
I don't
these
know. I love
people
season 1.
are also they're Clone Wars fans who are like, it's so juvenile and for kids, and I'm all like, have you pot meet kettle? Because it's like Clone Wars is totally a kid show. I don't
But
know.
when it comes down to it, like I notice so much more kind of like depth and nuance to the writing that makes it feel like so much more mature.
Last time I watched it, I was like, okay, this is, you know,
You're
It is for
talking
kids
you're
at
talking
times,
Rebels.
but
I was like, well, this is baby's first like Antifa or whatever. Like Andor is like anti-fascist stuff for grown-ups, and this is anti-fascist stuff for so much like because in the original movies, you know, because it's so much more pulpy and less time, it's like, well, Empire bad. They blow up Alderaan. They're the bad guys. There's not much else you need to know. Rebels, it's like, oh, they have like, you know, they're burning a shanty town to the ground, a shanty town that only exists because the Empire doesn't take care of people, and like, oh, they're enslaving Wookiees, and like, there's all this like stuff where it's like, oh yeah, the Empire, this is bad, and they're discussing like, you know, real strategies and philosophies on how you should deal with something like that. I'm like, okay.
and even just like the characterizations, I think are just like the personalities feel so much more thought out. Like you really feel like you're learning stuff about the characters and how they associate with each other. And at least to me, watching Clone Wars, it feels like so much more hollow and like one dimensional. And I don't care about any
I
of those
think
characters. I'm like, I don't like any of these
I
people. They can die.
I will half agree. I think the main characters have that depth you're thinking about. Like I think Rex, Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Padme, even Yoda in a couple episodes has that. But for the most part, it is a lot more sort of like pulpy action. Because a lot of the Clone Wars was like George going, "What if we did this, but Star Wars?"
What
Because
if we
it was
did
just sort of like,
Seven Samurai for the 10th time?
yeah.
Well, guys, we've been going
Speaking of,
for a bit over 2 hours now.
this has been,
I'm fun to just chat about Shatterpoint and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm getting my varnishes on these things finally, which I've been putting off for some reason.
Yeah, but I think that's probably going to be a good point to wrap her up for tonight because I'm getting kind of beat. I'm mostly done with my Rex now. I've got a little bit of like the brown, like the dirt area here on the terrain, and then I just gotta, put some black around the actual rim, and then
Post
Rex.
a post a picture in Discord because I want to see a better angle.
Rex will be fully done then. That, and I mean, I got most of the blue patterning done on my other 501st guys. I think all I got left really is just the helmet on the one guy here. So, seems like pretty decent progress for one session for me, considering how slow I paint.
big thanks to Outrider Dan and Travis and Jason and John and everybody who popped in to paint with us or just talk about stuff. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. We plan to do more in the future someday. So hopefully can tune in again. Also, if you liked chatting with us, maybe these are people that are already on the Discord, but if you're not on the Discord, pop on by and can chat any time of day.
Chat. That's
or
what
night.
we call talking about Shatterpoint. Chat.